Hello students. In this video we are going to be starting multiplication of integers. We have learned that we can add and subtract integers. We have also learned the different rules that we need to follow while we are adding and subtracting integers. Now let us learn about how we can multiply the integers. We need to learn the multiplication of integers under two distinct mechanisms, that is, multiplication with respect to the sign of the integers. Okay, so we have two signs, that is positive and negative. First, let us look into multiplication of a positive integer with a negative integer. Okay, so we are multiplying a positive integer and a negative integer. Let us recall that multiplication of whole numbers is just repeated addition. So consider this example. Here we have 5 and it is repeated 3 times. So we have 3 5s. So this is 1, 2 and 3. So because we have 3 5s, we can say that it is 3 times 5. Okay? And that is why we say 3 5s are, and the answer is 15. So if you add 5 3 times, you get 15. This is the multiplication of whole numbers. It is just repeated addition. Let us see if we can represent the addition of integers in the same way. Consider this example. We have from the following number line minus 5 and it is added 3 times. Okay, so we have minus 5 and we are adding it 3 times. So we start here at 0 and we need to move left by 5 units and we are doing this 3 times. So we end up at minus 5 first, then we go to minus 10 and eventually we go to minus 15. So 3 times minus 5 is equal to minus 15. We can also write this as minus 5 repeated 3 times. So on the left hand side we have minus 5, minus 5, minus 5, the addition of minus 5 3 times, and we can represent this as 3 into minus 5, the multiplication of 3 and minus 5. Therefore, the multiplication of this negative integer can be viewed as repeated addition of minus 5. Similarly, we have minus 4 here and it is repeated 5 times. We get minus 4 repeated 5 times, that is 5 minus 4s are minus 20. We have these examples for us to solve. So we have 4 times minus 8. The answer to this is minus 32. So we have just learned that multiplication of a positive and negative integer can be looked at as the repeated addition of the negative integer. So how many times do we need to repeat it? We need to repeat it 4 times. So this is nothing but minus 32. Similarly, you need to solve these 3 examples. I will leave these 3 to you. Let us move on to this section here. We have some more examples where we need to write the repeated addition of the negative integer as the multiplication. So usually what we do is we count how many times the negative integer is repeated. In this case it is repeated 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So we will write that first and then we will write the integer next. Okay. So the answer to this is minus 12. The next one, we have to count it. There is 3 minus 7s. So this is nothing but 3 times minus 7. And the answer to this is minus 21. Okay. There we go. Let us see how to find the product of a positive and negative integer without the number line. So we just did that. We saw how we can convert repeated addition into multiplication. However, if you want to do it directly, if you want to find a mechanism or a mechanical way to do this, let us see how we can find that out. Let us find 3 times minus 5 in a different way. First find 3 times 5, then put a minus sign before the product obtained. So what we need to do first is we need to find 3 times 5. So 3 5s are 15. Next we need to put a minus sign. So this is the value of this is equal to 15. And next we need to put a minus sign in front of it. Okay, that way you get minus 15. We get minus 15. That is, we find that if we put the negative sign over here, after we find the product of 3 and 15, we get minus 15. Next, similarly, if we do it for the other example, if we want to find 5 times minus 4, what we need to do is first find 5 times 4, then add the minus sign. So this is minus 20. Exactly like these examples, we have some more examples that we can solve. So what we need to do is first we need to find the product 4 and 8. Next we need to add the minus sign. So this will be equal to minus 32. Okay. So all the examples that we solved, we can also solve it this way. So I will leave the rest of these examples to you. Let us move on to the next section. That is, using this method, we have 10 times minus 43 is equal to the negative of 10 into 43, that is minus 430. Till now, we multiplied integer as positive integer times negative integer. Now let us try to multiply them as negative integer times positive integer. We first find minus 3 times 5. In order for us to find this, let us observe this pattern. So we know that these two are positive integers or whole numbers. Okay, and when we multiply them, we get 15. Right? So we know that 3 times 5 is 15. Next, we reduce this 3 by 1. That is, we go from 3 to 2 and we try to find 2 times 5. So 2 times 5 is equal to 10. We know 5 plus 5 is equal to 10. This can also be written as this 15 minus 5. Okay, so we have this 15 that is written and we are subtracting 5 from it. Next, the third one is 1 times 5 is equal to 5. How do we get this one? We can just do repeated addition of 5 one time, that is 5 equal to 5, or we can get this 10 down and then we can subtract 5 from it. Okay, we are getting this 10 down and we are subtracting 5 from it. That is why we get 5. Next we have 0 times 5. So this is nothing but 5 minus 5. So where are we getting this 5 from? We are getting it from the previous multiplication where we are reducing this 1 by 1. You can take some time to observe this pattern. You will observe that firstly what we are doing it is, here we are reducing the numbers by 1. So first it was 3, then we moved down to 2, 1, 0, and what is 1 less than 0? We need to go to minus 1. So how do we get for minus 1? What we need to do is, we need to bring down this 0 here and we need to subtract 5 from it. So 0 minus 5 is nothing but minus 5. Similarly, if we move down further down the number line, we will be able to find is, so from minus 1 we got to minus 2. Okay, and minus 2 times 5, what we need to do is we need to get this minus 5 down to over here. Okay, so we got that minus 5 over here and we need to subtract minus 5 from it. Now we get the answer as minus 10. Similarly, let us move one more down, that is minus 3, and we need to take down this minus 10 over here and we need to subtract 5 from it, and thus we get the answer minus 15. Okay. So let us try to understand this better by using some pictures. So here we have 5 coins, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And if you have one such stack of 5 coins, then totally you have 5 coins. Now, let us say you have 2 such stacks. In that case, how many coins do you have? You have 2 times 5 coins. So that is equal to 10. How else can we write 10? This is how you can also write that same 10. What you need to do is you need to take this 5 and then you need to add another stack, that is the new stack. So you need to add 5 to it. Now if you look at it the other way around, so what happens if you start with 10 coins and then you get rid of one stack? In that case, what is going to happen is first you need to start with this 10 coins. Then how do you get rid of one stack is, what you need to do is you need to take that 10 and you need to subtract 5 from it. Is that right? Now similarly, let us look at the situation where we have no coins with us. That is, we have gotten rid of this remaining stack of coins also. How many coins do we have with us? We have 0 coins. And another way to write that 0 coins is 0 times 5. That is nothing but 0, which we can also write it as 5 minus 5. Now, let us imagine that you have borrowed that 5 coins from your friend and you have spent it. That is, you have a debt of 5 coins. So we know that we can represent this negative 5 coins using negative numbers. So now you have one stack of coins that you have borrowed from your friend and you have spent that one stack. So this means that the total number of coins value that you have with you can actually be represented by -1 times the number of coins in the stack. So how do you get the answer for this? The answer for this, let us write it as dash. How do you get this answer? You need to get the 0 from the previous equation and then you need to subtract 5 from it. Okay, so once you subtract 5 from it, you know that the answer is -5. Similarly, what if you borrow another 5 coins from your friend and then again spend it? So what is the total debt you have? That is, what is the value of your coins? This time you have to do -2 times 5. And it is the same process where you get this -5 and then you need to subtract 5 from it. So it is nothing but -5 and -5. This time the answer we get is -10. So finally, if you do that with -3, that is, if you have 3 stacks of coins in your debt, then you will find that the answer is -3 times 5, that is -15. So how did we get -15? What we did was we got this -10 from the previous equation and then we subtracted 5 from it. So we need to observe that as and when you go on decreasing these values over here, the multiplication product also goes on gradually decreasing by 5. Okay, so that is why you go on subtracting 5. That is why we get 3 times -5 is equal to -15. You can take some time to understand this. You can go back and play the video once more if you need more time to understand this concept about why when we multiply a positive number with a negative number, we can get result as the negative number. Next, we can also say that this sign, it can be next to the first number or it can be next to the second number. That is, we found out that minus 3 times 5 and 3 times minus 5 always gives us minus 15. Using such patterns, we can also get the value of minus 5 times 4, that is minus 20, and 5 times minus 4, that is minus 20. Next, you need to find minus 4 times 8 and the following multiplication results. Okay. Also check whether the sign you can place it in the first integer or in the second integer. So after we do these examples, what we find is that we can either have the first number as negative or the second number as negative. As long as the values are the same, we'll get the same product. That is, it's also a negative integer, but the value is the same. We thus find that while multiplying a positive and a negative integer, we multiply them as whole numbers and put a minus sign before the product. We thus get a negative integer. So this is about the multiplication of a positive and a negative number regardless of the order. So what we need to do is we need to multiply them as whole numbers and then add the negative sign. We thus get a negative integer. Now we have these examples that we need to solve. So let us find the first one, that is 15 times minus 16. So we found out that in order for us to multiply a positive and negative integer, what we need to do is we need to find the product of them as whole numbers. So we need to find 15 times 16. And the value of this, we are going to get it as 240. And then we need to add a negative sign to the product. So the answer to the first one is 240. Similarly, you can do the 4 other examples that have been given below. Right? We will move on to the second one, A. Here we have 25 times minus 21. And we need to check if the value is the same as 25 times minus 25 times 21. So for us to find out if the value is the same, we actually do not have to find out the product. Instead, what we need to do is we need to simplify both the right hand side and the left hand side. So the right hand side is nothing but 25 times 21, and then we are going to add the negative sign outside. Okay, so this is the right hand side. This is the left hand side, sorry. Okay, and the right hand side is again nothing but we need to find the product and we need to add the negative sign outside. So we can see that both these values are exactly same as each other. Therefore, we can say that 25 times minus 21 is equal to minus 25 times 21. And we can do the similar thought process for B, and we also need to write examples. We need to write 5 more examples. So, in general, for any two positive integers A and B, so if A and B are positive integers, then note that minus B and minus A are negative integers. Okay, so for any two positive integers A and B, A times minus B is equal to minus A times B, which is nothing but minus of A times B. So find the product, then add the negative sign. Only in the case of multiplication of a positive and negative number. Next, we will see that multiplication of two negative numbers is very different. Let us consider the product of minus 3 and minus 2. So both of these are negative integers. For us to find this product, let us start with something we already know. That is, let us start with the product of minus 3 and 4. So we know this, and because it's the product of a positive and negative number, the final product is going to be a negative number that we get by multiplying these two as whole numbers and then adding the minus sign. Then let us reduce this 4 by 1 and make it 3. So how do we get the product of this? What we can do is we can bring down this minus 12 and then we can subtract minus 3 from it. Why are we subtracting minus 3 from it? The reason is, in the first equation, we have 4 minus 3's. Okay, so how many minus 3's do we have? We have 4 minus 3's. And if we want to find out the product of 3 minus 3's, we can get the product of 4 minus 3's and subtract 1 minus 3 from it. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to get the product of 4 minus 3 and remove 1 minus 3 from it. When we do that, what we will get is minus 9. This is because minus 12 minus of minus 3 is actually going to be equal to minus 12 plus 3. So this is going to be equal to minus 12 plus 3, and that is minus 9. Similarly, we can do the product of 2 minus 3's. So we reduce this by 1, and the way we get the answer is we take this product and then we take away 1 minus 3 from it. That is, we subtract 1 minus 3 from it, and we are going to end up with minus 6. Similarly, let us go on doing until we get minus 2 minus 3's. Okay. So if we do it for 0 minus 3's, we are going to have 0. And the way we get 0 is we are going to get the product from 1 minus 3 and we are going to take away another minus 3. So these two are going to cancel each other out and we are going to get 0. Next, if we reduce this by 1 and if we get minus 1, what we need to do is we need to take this product here and then take away one more minus 3. So this is the place where the results, they go from negative to 0 and then they become positive. Okay. So what is happening here? We have 0, we are taking away minus 3 from 0, and minus of minus is going to simplify to plus. So we are going to end up with plus 3. So minus 3 times minus 1 is going to give us plus 3. Similarly, minus 3 times minus 2, how do we get it? We take this 3 and then we are going to take away minus 3 from it. Minus of minus 3 is going to be plus 3. So the answer is 6. Plus 6. So based on that, we need to solve the next two in that pattern. So minus 3 times minus 3. Let us write it over here. So minus 3 times minus 3. What we need to do is we need to go back and we need to check this. We saw that minus 2 times minus 3 is plus 6. So what we can do here is we can take that 6 down and then we can take away a minus 3 from there. When we take away minus 3 from 6, what we end up with is 9. So the answer to this one is going to be plus 9. Similarly, the next one in this equation, what we can do here is, in order for us to find out minus 3 times minus 4, the same way we apply here, where we take this 9 down, okay, we take this 9 down, and then we take away another minus 3 from it. Because minus of minus is plus, we are going to end up with 12. Let me move this a little bit to the left so you can see. Yeah, so the answer is 12 plus 12. Similarly, we can do it using other numbers also, where if we want to find out the product with minus 4, we can start with a positive and a negative product, and then we can observe the pattern as it comes to the negative side. So let us do from 0. We know that minus 4 times 0 is equal to 0. Just remember one thing, when you're finding the product of anything with 0, the answer is 0. Because intuitively it is saying 0 of anything. So if you consider the stack of coins example, if you have 0 stacks of coins, whether it is positive or negative, the answer is going to be 0. Okay. So the product of anything with 0 is going to be 0. So for us to find out what is 1 less than that, that is 1 minus 4 less than that, what we need to do is we need to take that 0 down and we need to take away one more 4 from it. In which case we are going to end up with positive 4. Similarly, if we continue it for the next two equations, that is, let us reduce minus 1 by 1 to get minus 2 over here. In order for us to find this product, what we can do is, we can take this product over here, that is, we can take plus 4 and we can take away another minus 4 from it. This is because minus 2 times minus 4 has one less minus 4 than minus 1 times minus 4. So even in this case, the negative of the negative becomes positive and we get plus 8. Similarly, if we do for minus 4 times minus 3, I will leave the working to you, but the answer will be plus 12. From these patterns, we observe that minus 3 times minus 1 is equal to 3 and minus 3 times minus 2 is equal to 6. So, once we observe all these, we can say that the product of two negative integers is a positive integer. We multiply the two negative integers as whole numbers and put the positive sign before the product. So what we saw here is, in order for us to find out the product of minus 3 and minus 1, we need to find the product of 3 and 1 as whole numbers and then just add the positive sign. You can take any example over here. For example, if you take this one, what did we do? We took the product of 4 and 8, 4 and 2, that is 8, and we added the positive sign. Okay? So we can find more examples down here. And if you want to find out the working step by step, try these. In general, for any two positive integers a and b, so again, if a and b are positive, then minus a and minus b are negative. So the product of two negative integers is the same as the product of their whole numbers and keeping the positive sign as is. Next, try to find these. So for us to find out the answer to these, let us try the first one, that is the product of minus 31 and minus 100. So what do we need to do? We need to find the product of 31 and 100 and we need to keep the positive sign as is. Okay, so this will be equal to plus 3100. Similarly, you can try out the other two questions given here. Up next, we have a game that you can play with your friends. The rules of this game are pretty simple. So, keep two of your pawns, or you can keep all the pawns of all your friends at 0. Next, so the goal of the game is to reach either 104 or negative 104. And what you need to do is, you need to get two pair of dice, one blue and one red. And you need to place the 4 of them inside a bag. When it is your turn to play, you can take 2 dice out and you can roll the dice. Whatever is appearing on the blue die is the positive number and whatever is appearing on the red die is the negative number. So in this case, what you have on the blue die is 3 and what you have on the red die, on top you have 1, 2. So what you need to do is, you need to find their product. So whatever is on the red die is negative. So the product of the blue and red is going to be negative. So this is negative 6. Then wherever your pawn is, if it is negative, you have to move towards minus 104. If it is positive, you have to move towards plus 104. Whoever reaches the end, that is either 104 or minus 104, is the winner of the game. By doing this, you will learn about the multiplication of positive and negative integers. That is the end of this lesson. In this video, we learnt about the multiplication of positive and negative integers. In the next video, we will be learning about the multiplication of 3 or more negative integers. So up until now, we had only 2. We had either a positive and negative, or 2 positives or 2 negatives. In the next lesson, we will find out how we can multiply 3 or more integers. I will see you all in the next video.